Hey, Nick.
How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing great. I have something very exciting to share.
Okay.
My daughter took her ACTs, which
That's
is
awesome.
It's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember taking my ACTs as a high school kid, panicked about what it meant, hoping to hit a certain number. Everybody told me what you need to get. And she managed to score a 30
Wow.
on her ACT. She's very
That's
excited.
awesome.
But there's a downside to this story.
Okay, what's that?
It prompted her to go into like panic mode.
Oh, why is that?
Well, because she said, oh my God, I took this test and now I need to pick out my school and we need to go on college visits and we need to do this and we need to do this. And it was like this mass chaos moment.
Gotcha.
I mean, she was literally on the computer searching for schools that she needs to go visit right away, like in the next couple weeks.
Uh-huh.
I was like, whoa, slow your roll, just a hair.
Yeah.
There is a plan in place. Here's how we do this.
And so, and she is in what?
She is going into her junior year of high school.
Well, that's perfect.
It is.
It is, because today's episode is hosted and sponsored by our partners at Thrivent Student Resources. And particularly in this episode, what we want to share with you is a 2-year calendar that essentially highlights everything that you need to do in
Yes.
preparation for college. And it starts for junior year.
Junior year,
Yeah.
I know. It's amazing. When I found this particular downloadable PDF document on ThriventStudentResources.com, I was giddy. And I was giddy because it literally lays out step by step in bullet format, check box, like, yes, I've done this, yes, I've done this, how and what to do from junior year, even pre-junior year through junior year into senior year and before college.
Yep.
So we're going to run through some of these things with you, particularly if you are a family who's sending a student to school or you are a student who's getting ready for college. Some of these bullet pointed items are going to be things you're going to need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, some of the things that you mentioned is, preparing for the ACT or SAT, starting to really establish the family budget around paying for college and knowing which options you have, all the way to visiting right fit colleges, actually taking the ACT, meeting with academic counselors at your high school to really see, what degree or field of study do I actually want to go into.
Right.
Because that'll also, help choose which college you want to attend.
Yep.
And then even like the summer before senior year, what I love is it says work a summer job to save money for college.
Yes.
So, it looks into, FAFSA, it looks into common applications for certain private institutions,
Yep.
Looking at letters of recommendation from high school teachers, final rounds of college visits, like everything is literally on this downloadable.
It's spelled out. It's spelled out for you what you need to do over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
This is a financial advisor friend of mine told me one time, this is the second most complicated thing that anyone will ever do. So the first is planning for retirement, figuring out all the different ways to get ready to not work anymore. And the second is figuring out how to get your kids through school, pay for it, choose the school, all that stuff. And what Thrivent Student Resources has done is they put together this great 2-year planning calendar that walks you step by step. There's a couple of them that I find really interesting.
Okay.
And one of the first ones that you mentioned was having the discussion with your family about what is the budget for paying for school.
Yep.
And why I think this is important is it falls junior year. And so junior year, a family should be sitting down and talking about, here is what we can afford. And what we know from having dealt with families and students and recent graduates is that there are a lot of families that'll say, we weren't able to save money for school. So there is no budget. It's like, we got to figure this out as we go. And if we know that up front, junior year, then more than likely what's going to happen is your junior or senior year, you will be applying for a lot of scholarships. The reason that we need to know that up front is maybe you'll take the ACT prep a little more seriously, because the higher your ACT or SAT score is, the more money you potentially will get for school.
Yep.
So all of this just fits right into one another in terms of what we need to know and when and why it's important down the road.
Yeah. There's a famous saying, I don't know who said it, but it says, plan your work and work your plan.
Who said that? You just did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was smart.
Genius.
You should put that on a t-shirt.
But it's, I mean, what I love about this, you know, if I look back to my high school experience, I mentioned that out of my siblings, I was the first one to go to college. So I really had no one to look up to. So all of this was a very foreign, confusing process. And so having something like this, the 2-year calendar through Thrivent, you know, Student Resources is extremely easy. I mean, there's literally boxes that you check and you know exactly if you've done them or not. And doing all of these things will really set you up for success.
Totally.
You know?
There are 2 questions in particular on the document that I want to reflect on because I think these are really important. The first one is down just a little bit. Do my top college choices fit my budget? And this is an important question to ask your junior and senior year, because if you're looking at, you know, top name schools, and let's say it's a private college that's a $40,000 or $50,000 a year price tag, does that fit, number one, with your budget, right? So if you know that there isn't a lot of money saved for school, and so you know you're gonna have to borrow money to go to a private school, does that really fit within your budget? Or could you get a similar experience for significantly less money somewhere else? Really important question. Does your top college choices fit your budget?
Yeah.
And the second one is the amount you're borrowing realistic and manageable to pay off with your intended career?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I think we covered this on another show, but
did.
talk about why this is important.
Well, this is important because in terms of how much money to borrow, you know, the goal for everyone really should be to graduate college without any debt, right?
Yeah.
Or with as little debt as possible. And so really looking at the amount that you're borrowing, you do not want it to exceed the first year projected income and salary after graduation.
Right.
So that's something that is really smart to start thinking about ahead, especially
Yes.
if you want to get into a career that may not be as lucrative, or it might take time to ramp up to higher incomes. Really looking at the different cost of colleges, whether it's on the West Coast, East Coast, smaller school, bigger school, whatever the case is. Really making sure that the amount you're borrowing is realistic and also manageable to pay off.
Totally. Some of the things on the 2-year calendar are things like when to visit colleges, questions to ask when you are visiting colleges, and then things to know, like this might be a new one, the Common App. And the Common App is a one-stop shop where you create an application and you make that available to all the schools to which you are applying. So there's one essay, there's one set of information that you plug into the Common App, and then all those schools access that Common App. It tells you exactly when to do that. And then last, but certainly not least, is figuring out when you're going to write all those essays for scholarships. And in the 2-year calendar from Thrivent Student Resources, it suggests that you do that your first semester senior year. And why I think this is critical is there will be a number of scholarship deadlines that will happen late fall and early spring of your senior year. That could be tens of thousands of dollars in funding for college. So we want to make sure we get those done and get them done early.
Yeah, this plan is really awesome because it, like you said, it allows you to get things early and it allows you to see the things you need to do. Like I remember when I needed letters of recommendation from teachers, all the teachers got bombarded at the last minute and they were stressed. Sometimes they said, you know, you're gonna have to ask someone else.
Yes.
But if you got ahead in the, you know, fall semester or quarter of high school, you know, you're knocking things out. And you have a lot more time to edit essays or whatever the case is. So,
No doubt.
yeah.
No doubt. Last but very not least, on ThriventStudentResources.com, there are 2 tools that you can use on the site. One is a scholarship search engine. So you can go in, plug in your information, all the particulars about your activities, your grade point, your test scores, etc. And it'll populate with all of the scholarships that you would become eligible for. And then secondly, there is something called GradPath. And GradPath effectively is a crowdfunding tool for college. So as you approach graduation, if there is not a budget put in place for school, what you can do is you can reach out to benevolent family members and friends and people who want to see you succeed, and they can help crowdfund, whether it's books or your semester fees, or it could be room and board, whatever it is. GradPath will help you do that at ThriventStudentResources.com. Make sure you check that out.
Great.
So what would you recommend on the 2-year calendar?
In terms of my favorite
No,
highlights?
for their next step.
For the next step so one, you definitely go to thriveinstudentresources.com. Link will be right here, as well as in the show notes. And really to start look at it and one, print it out and then actually put it on your wall or your fridge in your
It's on our
bathroom.
fridge.
Yeah, fridge. Because it really is brilliant. And then, I would start early, not wait. If you're a sophomore in high school, then there's no one telling you can't start now.
Yes.
So, and then applying for scholarships, all of this really just lays it down super simply. So I would definitely download it, print it, and then start using it and sharing it with your family.
Absolutely. One final note that I want to let some people off the hook. I know that for my daughter in particular, and probably some of her friends, it feels like there's this undue pressure on juniors and seniors to really figure out where it is they're going to go and what they want to do. And the beauty of the 2-year calendar is it does create some pressure, but it creates accountability over a longer period of time. What you really don't want to do is be in the second semester of your senior year and still trying to make this decision, or just beginning the conversations around budget and scholarship and college choices. So better to start now and do it inch by inch instead of trying to run the last 5 miles in the last 2 minutes of your senior year. Cool?
Cool.
All right. We'll see you soon.
See ya.